Hi everyone, welcome to our online hybrid MSW writing course. This is a writing workshop which will go over our common pitfalls and mistakes that graduate paper often shows when I'm helping students edit their reports and her analysis. My name is Nathapong Shugan. I'm an adjunct faculty here with the Linguistic and Language Art Department at San Jose State. Okay, let's go over our course module. Okay, so there's our module for the online class. When you come in, first thing you'll see is our 6 units. Unit 0 will be our welcome, which just go over. It's a really quick cover of what is expected in our social works department. And then Unit 1 will go into one of the most prominent mistakes with our writing, the word choice and appropriate and precise vocabularies, excessive use of wordiness, and techniques of how to eliminate unnecessary words and to be clear and precise. Unit 2 will be covering prepositions, the incorrect usage of prepositions. It's a really short introduction of what it is. And then Unit 3 will be combining sentences, especially with short sentences, and will turn into like a complex or compound with transition words. There's a couple of examples that we'll go over. And Unit 4 will be covering about our transitions in paragraphs, between paragraphs and ideas that we have. So it doesn't feel like we're just jumping from different ideas, and it doesn't have a really nice, smooth transition. So it's Unit 4 when you want to transition clear ideas and connect other ideas together. And passive voice is Unit 5. The easy fix. I believe we just have to pay more attention to what the subject is. We'll go over that for a little bit. And Unit 6 is citation, paraphrasing, summary, direct quotes, and specifically we're using APA styles, and we have lots of examples for that. And the last one is not part of the unit, but it's just basic checklist that you should go over with yourself. Just checking off numbers that's on it, and then before you submit it to myself or other peer readers or your professors. Okay, so let's look at our welcome. Our welcome is basically an overview of why we need this course, this workshop. This workshop helps us, a writer, especially with graduate academic writing, to be more aware of how you structure sentences and paragraphs and ideas and transitions and all that. So we have identified over 6 major issues, and we're covering the common mistakes that people make. And here we have a link to our PowerPoint. When you click, it will show an overview of what we're looking at today. So there is the address for our course. We're here to help the graduate level academic writing to develop appropriate styles and techniques of writing research papers, basically. So basically, this is similar to what I will call an introduction to a self-help. How do you revise your own writing? And basically, what we're looking at now in the PowerPoint, let me see if I could modify this. Okay. So what we're looking at is the PowerPoint where it's an overview, what we're looking at in terms of what is available on the module. The module has examples and it has detailed explanations of each specific common errors that we're looking at when we're editing papers. So most importantly, one of the key elements like we want to re-emphasize for you is topic identification, developing your ideas. And I know it's quite tricky to identify, it takes time, but once you start writing, don't come back and start correcting your grammar. That's towards the last part. See, on the bottom here, it says proofread for spelling, grammatical, mechanical errors. It's usually the last part of your process. The visual appealing is just formats. But what you ended up with is the first 4 or 5 bullet here that you're basically working with your professors and trying to gather evidence and materials. And this is our course here in our modules is mechanicals, grammaticals, and visuals. It's the last part. So, but it is very important to consider like an appropriate and professional writing. So I'm glad you're joining us and looking at this. You'll see one of the key essentials is the issues, your background, the analysis, recommendation, conclusion has to be in your report, in your research paper. Because once we're editing, we're kind of understand where your recommendations coming in, where your data is coming from, so there's no missing informations that will be left out. Okay, and that's towards like documents, sources, accurate quotation, paraphrase. That's the last part where we're going to work on. Okay, what's the starting point is always the hardest. How do you get started? I think this cartoon has a really good point. Simply just write and don't worry about your mistakes until you proofread, which you should do at least twice when you're finished with your documents. You should do edit and proofread at least twice, just to see the flow and your ideas are put across and the mechanicals and spellings are accurate. So moving on to one of the major key elements on most reports, will have what I would call inappropriate word choice, specifically in your topic. Your topic is specialized topics, and you will develop a awareness of what key words and concepts and phrases that's specific to your writing. which for me as an editor, I will start to recognize it was once I start reading it in more details. But every once in a while, we'll recognize that there are some words that's going to be awkward, vague, or unclear. And I also include a video why what I mean by that, which would encourage you to take a look. And in our course module, let's go back to our Canvas page. I have a little video, just a brief explanation of what inaccurate writing is, or inconsistency in writing.
Wordiness is common in early drafts. Fortunately, by reducing wordiness as you revise, you can make your writing clearer and more engaging. You can start by looking for overused phrases, excess signposts, words that don't add meaning, unnecessary explanations, and redundancy. Take a look at this list of overused phrases. You've probably seen them before. Many can be replaced with a single word.
In this example, I felt that many of our students want to feel articulate and sophisticated. That's one of the main reasons why they use common phrases like on the left that we see. And it becomes unnecessary because in a lot of circumstances, a lot of writing, we just replace it with more concise, accurate. I think shorter is better. If you have a phrase that you're not sure about it, simply take it out and rewrite it. Make it shorter, make it more concise, more appropriate. And that's usually the case of how would you eliminate wordiness and make it more clear. Just write less, write accurately, and write concisely. Especially the last part. If you look concerning the matter of, we could just simply put regarding, right? Makes it more appropriate, like shorter, appropriate, and readers don't get confused or what you're trying to say. It's just simple one word. It's fine. It's actually more clear for readers. Okay. So this short video is only 2 minutes. And it's right under the PowerPoint. Okay, please take a look in your time and just go over it. It's a really short examples of what I'm talking about. And just a little overview of what the research paper. Now, here's a really good tip while you're writing. Just to keep in mind, this is a nice understanding of what should be, your topic, or understanding your task. Revise it later on, and then you provide the details, move beyond description. You actually analyze and understand why and how, right? Appropriate evidence, citations. Oh, use subject librarians throughout the research process. Well, a good question to ask is, who is your librarian? As a San Jose State University student, you have access to your subject or your majors. In your case, with social work, your librarian is Silky Hickens. She's my colleague back in my grad school 4 or 5 years ago. So there's her email, schedule appointments, or write her an email, ask her to help you conduct research, find certain topics. That's for in person, but I know you're off-site, so email her probably the best. And there are some guidelines where you should include in your email. Okay. All right, let's move on. Okay, so our next page deals with word choice. What I mean by word choice is misused words, unwanted connotation, using pronouns when you don't have the nouns or the subject before, so we're not sure who you're talking about. Jargons, technical terms that make readers confused. But in your paper, most will be just jargons, so be careful with those. What are jargons are just major. If I'm not your social works department, I will not realize what those words are and have to define it. But if it's really like key, it's the key words that you need it in there, so a brief explanation wouldn't hurt, like a definition or define with that concept. It's just to help me to understand, so we could, move on with our key elements of your point on the paper. Okay. Loaded language has what I would call a lot of emotions, right? Like the word must change society, that's really commanding. And then there's a lot of issues that might be personally like affected, so don't overuse too much. Don't overuse loaded language, so be careful with that. Like emotions, that's what it means, loaded language, a lot of emotions in there. Okay. And there's a couple of avoid overuse expletives. It is, that's one of the key. We'll go into more details. Okay. For example, what I mean by expletives is it is imperative that we find a solution. It's commanding, it has a tone that's really, strong. It's too strong. We must find a solution. That's more like a suggestion. So these two is very crucial. I think it's, well, some, you can use some, right? Because you want to show the urgency of the situation. But overusing anything, actually, overusing any passive words or any expletives, it's just overbearing. It's just like a command. Okay. Let's see what's next. Oh yeah, there's a couple of examples that we post up here. Grammatical errors, wordiness. All these are on your canvas. So if you have marks on your paper, and I would write wordiness, watch out for extra, make it shorter, or be clear, concise. This is what I mean. A good example is when you could use 13 words to write an idea, right? 31 words is too much, and it's just the reader get lost in what you're trying to say. There's more of, the less is better. That's what I call it. Okay. Now let's look at our avoid common pitfalls on our slides. Yeah, using appropriate or precise language in your writing is fundamental, crucial. You know, it's noun form of verbs like it is. That's one of the key. Infinitive phrases, circumlocution. Let's take a look at those. So more elimination. Yeah, oftentimes when the sentence is confusing, it's just simply because there's a lot of words that's unnecessary. Make it shorter will oftentimes help to deliver your message more effectively. Noun form of verbs on avoidance. Yeah, the function of this department is the collection of accounts. No, just say that this department collects accounts. See, simpler, more direct, less words, always better. Infinitive phrases. The duty of the clerk is to check all incoming mail and to record it. Yeah. The clerk checks and records all incoming mails. See, they're putting verbs here and verbs here. The clerk checks and records rather than the duty of a clerk. We know what that means. A clerk checks and records. That's his job. That's just a really, yeah, simplified examples of what should be better in terms of sentence structure. Circumlocution is basically you're saying things in circle. Your idea circulates around a point rather than just go directly to the point. Yeah, a lot of yeah, it's cultural differences. That's what I found. Other culture or other people that came from different backgrounds, they tend to, you know, write in circumlocutions instead of express direct ideas into paper. Yeah, so be careful with that. There's ways that you could eliminate it. All right, and just summarize what I'm talking about when we want to avoid wordiness, because wordiness confuses readers. Simple. Okay. And there are more tools on the bottom. There's several links where you could find additional help on that topic. Yeah, and more activities, concise, clear, yeah, sentences. Once you start to realize your tendencies from, you know, first edit or second edit, and it becomes easier to spot and identify each sentence and then just rewrite it. It'll be easier in time. Yeah, practice will make you a better editor. Okay, next we're looking at prepositions. Yeah, it shows up once in a while, but it changes the meaning of the sentence. So be careful. There's preposition of direction, in time, place, location, spatial relationships. So yeah, this one's quite tricky if you don't really understand how to write a phrase in preposition. My best recommendation would just put in a quote. So let's say running away. To. Right, and then there's running away from. Which one is the right one? Running away to, running away from. Right. good example. So simply putting in a Google search, it doesn't really help you much. It's just part of that. But if you put in a quote, it gives you a really nice example, like synonyms, what it really means, and how you use it in a sentence, running away from his responsibility. Oh, I see. Anything in a quote will be exactly the way it is written. So you could find how it is written by simply looking at examples. And then another one is the result. So that's a really nice number, 90 million. People use that quite often, running away from, running away, let's say at, running away at. No, it's not, doesn't make sense. Oh, running away at 18. Okay, so that's a different meaning. So that's age. 597,000 results. Not that much. But yeah, so there's a meaning for running away at. Oh, not at all, so that's different. Running away at 18 is prominent, so it has to do with age. Okay, so using quote for a search is awesome. I use it all the time. Okay, so prepositions really cool to work on. It'll show up once in a while because sometimes when we speak, it comes naturally. Sometimes it's correct, sometimes it's not. So, oh yeah, especially the word of. Purpose of the study, quality of the principal in school. There's too many preposition words in there that can be eliminated. Okay, so pay attention to that. Okay, so now we're moving on to sentences. Sentence type. Simple sentence, compound sentences, complex, compound, complex. Use them together to develop a really nice and strong paragraph. But always be conscious of short sentences. Short sentences oftentimes, yeah, it shows that the idea has not really, hasn't been developed. Yeah, a developed idea usually consists of compound, complex, or complex sentences. Right, it ties in together using not just fanboy like for, and, or, but it uses since, while, that, for whom, you know. But yeah, I mean, overuse of one sentence type can be negative. So use them accordingly, but be aware that there are 4 sentence types that we're looking at. There's several examples as well. Now let's switch gear a little bit. I want to show you part of this. Preposition, incorrect, sentence overview. Yeah, adjusting sentence type in academic writing. By combining ideas or combining short sentences together, using transition is one of the most effective way to shows that you're understanding the topic, shows that you're able to write academically and think critically. That's it. That's probably the silver lining of why sentence type is important, to show your academic ability. Okay. Now let's go into paragraph. Clear focus and appropriate details. So with every paragraph, you need a topic sentence or a really strong, usually in the beginning, sentence that it kind of tells the reader that this is what you're going to be expecting to read, right? You're expected to read this stuff. And there's going to be supports in that paragraph as well. But you cannot jump from paragraph into a paragraph from different ideas without having a nice transition in between. What does that mean? That means there's Let me see. We have no, that's passive, right? So transition and paragraph. That's back in our modules. Let's take a look at our module. Mhm. Coherence transition between paragraphs. There you go. So there's examples there for you to look at, but the flow, that's what it means when there's a nice transition from paragraph to paragraph. That means the flow is well developed. That means the reader can follow your train of thought. It's called also, you know, parallel construction, using the same grammatical tenses or ideas are not, you know, disconnect. That, you know, it somehow is related, somehow is tied into, so that paragraph through paragraph can be easily understood. All right. Good. Oh yes, and the last, well, no, but not least, using passive voice, it's fine. But what professors often come back on is it's too much. Avoid overuse of passive voice. What is passive voice is when your subject ends at the, yeah, it's your subject's at the end of the sentence. No, subject should oftentimes be in the beginning of the sentence. Like she cooks dinner, or he builds a house. I mean, you could write it another way using passive. House was built by him. The dinner was cooked by her. Some sort like that. But I just throwing out example on top of my head. So I'm not a sexist or anything. So that's not gender specified. It's just a simple example. Okay. So remember, what is passive? Passive voice. Passive voice and the subject is at the end of the sentence. You can use it, but don't overuse it because it's not as effective as that active voice. Okay, so be careful with this. Yeah, a lot of professors get tired of reading passive. Oh, here you go. There's a couple of examples of how to change from passive to active. Okay, and there's more types of writing. There are appropriate styles and genre. Certain genre requires passive voice, like lab reports, scientific topics, or swindles and perversion. Yeah, you're trying to minimize something. Exxon company accepts that their few gallons might have been spilled. Few gallons of oil have been spilled, right? Why is that at the end? It should be like the subject. What's spilled? The oil, right? Yeah, and then there's really cool revision techniques and how you can utilize. So it is always clear in active voice. That's why professors like to use active voice or like to read active voice instead of passive. Okay, what's next? Okay, last but not least again, it's a paraphrase, direct, and summary. Please pay attention. This is towards the end when you're just tying ideas and your sources together. The key of thumb, rule of thumb. The rule of thumb, when you have an idea that's not yours, just put someone else, like the original author. Saves a lot of headaches towards the end. So later on, when you come, oh, this is not my idea, but I forgot who the author is. That's troublesome at the end. So in the beginning, just throw out whoever wrote some particular topic. That should be the main guy or the main paper that you base your research on. Use that, and then we'll come back and either modify it. If you have too much of direct quotes, you have too many quotes, change some to paraphrase, change some to a summary, and don't end your paragraph with a direct quote ever. A direct quote just to help make your argument or your explanation stronger. It should not conclude your argument, right? If you end it at the end of the paragraph, it acts like concluding your idea, but that's not what direct phrase or a direct quotation is about. Yeah, so be careful with that at the end. It's very tricky. Oh, when you introduce an idea, not only do you have to cite it, but you also have to explain why you put that in there as well. So give a brief explanation of why you think that idea is a strong case for your argument. Yeah, there's several examples for you to do. There's summary. How do you write a summary? There's an example. How do you write a paraphrase? And how do you write a direct quote using this article from Roger Cipher in 1977. And there are more. APA style formatting. So format is pretty universal. We're probably doing the 6th edition now. Yeah, so click on these. Let's see. When you click on them, you'll go to really cool formats of how papers should be, citation style. And if you're using like Google Scholar or library research, there's actually a really easy, or if you're using reference page, reference work will also keep data of your sites and sources. I just want to show you something really cool. Like Google Scholar also has some nice, let's go socioeconomic development. There's a little quote here, you could do that stuff, but they're not always right, not 100%. Cambridge University, it's a shorthand version of a proper citation, so be careful with that. This is more like the detailed citation that a lot of professors like. It's like articles, they like the editions, they like a page number. Yeah. But if that article doesn't have as a book, so it's going to be shorter, right? So just be careful and know what you're looking at. And there's a lot of guidelines on that too. Yeah, on Purdue reference list, that's really important. In text citations, footnotes, endnotes, and stuff. And more examples. Good. Yeah, this is towards the end when we're looking at editing your paper. So before you submit to any editor or peer reader, you should go over this graduate paper checklist. It's at the bottom of your module. The last item, graduate paper checklist. And just go over it. It's really easy, check it off if you have it. Yeah, if you don't have it, just articulate and think about why it's not in it. Maybe you just write maybe a short, brief paragraph to add it so it'd be more appropriate. Because this checklist is not to give you grades, it's just to help build your paper, makes it stronger. Okay. Good. All right, so far we have covered most of our modules. Our next video will be looking at detail examples and exercises that I'll be posting up here. Quizzes, perhaps. I don't like quizzes too much, but I think in our discussions, like eliminating wordiness or what is appropriate in terms of in-text citations or reference page, that will come in handy once you start recognizing mistakes of what other people are making. And yeah, that's for next video. My contact information is on the slide as well, and also is on the canvas. Oh, first name is Nathapong Shugan at sjsu.edu. My nickname is I go by Nathan. That's fine. So I'm looking forward to reading your paper. Yeah. So, well, thank you for your time. Email me if you have any questions. Okay. Let's see.